And we are live here at Heavy Muscle Radio on this beautiful Sunday going into Monday, January 23rd, 2023 evening. Chris, the technician, Aceto is with us. And Chris, I went to the circus today.
I saw you with the circus. I didn't know that they have them anymore because they're so I
know.
I can't even use the word woke because everyone calls me woke. How dare you use the word woke?
You know what?
They have no animals, probably, right?
It's not our circus that we went to as a kid. Remember Ringling Brothers? We used to go to Ringling Brothers, right?
They used to whip the hell out of the animals.
Yeah, no animals. There was one dog trick. It was like Cirque du Soleil. You know how like when we used to go to the Arnold, they would do all those like balancing acts, and they would lift people up and muscular stuff. And
I was just saying, kidding. I was kidding. You didn't hear me. I slipped that in. I said, "What? There are no animals? A circus with no animals?
Dogs. There was poodles. There was one poodle act.
Well, kitty cats and poodles, and that's wokeness to it.
Yeah, because they're afraid to do anything.
How do you know? Because if you have an elephant or a lion or even a skunk, you'll get PETA protesters.
Yeah, well, the animals are expensive too. And
Dave, come on, you got more inventory in snakes. I don't know if they're considered animals.
Maybe I could do a snake circus or something like that.
Kids would love it.
I loved your comment. Hold on, I want to pull up something. I loved your comment that you made about my I haven't put up all my posts yet. I put up one post from the circus itself. And this was pretty cool. They did some really crazy stuff. I haven't put up the.
That's how Blackman would fire people too. Look, out of the office you go.
I'd like to see some bodybuilders do this. That would be. Imagine Ramy flipping on that seesaw. Tell us your comment, because your comment was the best one.
I said I was more impressed when Reagan jumped off that roof into the pool. Do you have that somewhere on Reagan?
Yes, it's right here. It's right here. Yeah. And Regan Grimes actually put a smiley face there as your response.
I know, but do you have the video when he jumped off the roof?
Somewhere I could probably find. The funny thing is,
off the roof. It's much more impressive than this. It's because you know what? These guys have been practicing. They start with nets and all that. Reagan just had like a protein shake, went up on a roof, jumped from the roof like across the patio into the pool.
Someone posted and it's a great idea, Chris, that they should make a new men's division, like a new fitness. You know how they have women's fitness? They should do a men's fitness division where they can do shit like this. How funny would that be? Great. I would watch that.
But you know what? It may take over. We'll give it. You know what? We will leave that division for Wayne when Wayne comes roaring back with a $4,000 prize money and the ring and the medallion and the bouquet of flowers. We can keep that division for him.
Colin Van Moger would fit right into that division, right? He's done some pretty crazy stunts.
Yeah. Yes, he has. Yes,
Regan,
he has.
Regan jumped off the roof of his house into a pool. I'm sure he wouldn't mind, doing like a little, I'll tell you I wish I would have posted it because I don't have time to do it now. But these guys, Chris, there was one guy I didn't even take the video. I was so flabbergasted. I had an anxiety attack. The guy, it was like one of these things that like whips around this big wheel, and it was like a pendulum, and it went up to the ceiling. And he was on the outside of this thing, Chris. He was doing flips on the top. He had to be 100 feet in the air. No nets. These guys are absolutely fucking out of mind. And you know what the funny thing is? They say that bodybuilding is dangerous, right?
Was it
cut down bodybuilding because it's so dangerous? What about you? Should see these guys at the circus. This stuff is. I mean, if you slip, you're done. You're finished, dead. There's no way you're surviving. They had guys, Chris, in a metal cage, 4 motorcycles. It was a circle.
I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen that one in Florida.
They were going around 100 miles an hour in this cage. 4 of them at the same time. All it would have taken was one to crash. They all would have crashed and died.
Yeah, if I was in that, if you and I were working in the same office, we'd bump into each other 10 times a day, and they can drive like 90 miles an hour in the motorcycles in a cage. And then they change directions, right? They change
Yes, it's
And
the
then
most incredible. I've never seen anything like it. I was definitely impressed with what I saw, but it was at the same time I don't like to watch that stuff because I was really very afraid that I was going to see crashes, and I really didn't want to see crashes, to be honest with you.
I told you one of our topics which we forgot to cover.
What?
Well, I didn't want to say it on air because people say we're unprepared, which we're unprepared. We're not prepared at all. So I guess unprepared would be a compliment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you get the text about who?
Oh, you just sent it to me?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Talk while I'm looking at it.
Someone says I have a hair like that looks like Elvis. That's a compliment. I'll take that as a compliment.
Chris texted me the word, 2 words. Victor Richards.
Yeah, we forgot. There was something about Victor Richards.
Victor Victor Richards is, I gotta give the guy credit. He wrote. He's a very eloquent writer. My father, I told you, would be very impressed with his prose that he writes. Unfortunately, most of the time he's full of shit, But sometimes he actually gets. The problem is he gets a couple of good points across, and then he goes too far with it, and then people think he's crazy. So rather than just making the points and then leaving it at that, he goes too far. He's still supposedly. Someone sent me a blog post yet. He's supposedly suing Ed Connors still for about the whole. He claims that Ed made up that whole story with when he pulled the gun, supposedly. Allegedly. I just, I don't know the story. I just had Ed on. I'm just a news agency. I don't know if it's true. And only Ed and Victor know if it's true or not. I'm assuming it's not because Victor's going crazy still. But he wrote this whole thing about Mannion and how bad he is, how he's the devil and all this stuff, and how he's, people are afraid to say anything, and But you made a very good point. He's complaining about how everyone's afraid to say anything about what he claims to be the truth.
What I say, yeah.
Yeah, Chris said, well, he was afraid to compete, which is the truth, right?
What's that little emoji I send to people with the hands up? Like, that's it,
Well, I didn't know this, but Joe Weider was begging him. You told me to
beg.
I thought he told Victor not to compete to make it more mysterious, but you actually said he wanted him to.
Joe told me he wanted him to compete. He used to say, who would beat him? I said, it's not the point who would beat him. He doesn't want to compete. And Joe used to say, why? I said, because obviously he's afraid. Because you just said, Joe, you have the best eye, and you were telling me you want him to compete. Ask Gaspari about him. I mean, he's a phenomenal bodybuilder, but, unproven. Right?
Why is that, though? Why was
Dave?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I just said that he's unproven. I said Victor Richards is unproven because
you're right.
You can't. You know what? You can't be the greatest stock picker in the world, but never picked any stocks for real.
Right.
You know what I mean? People on paper. Well, I play the stock market all the time, but I do it. On paper. Do you actually spend the money to buy the stocks? Oh no, but if I did.
Well, you know what? Look, I've interviewed him before. Here's the issue with him. I think he was making a lot of money. He was being paid as much money as like I don't know, Dorian Yates. I don't know who was the Mr. Olympia at the time. Was it Lee Haney or someone? He was making the same amount of money as like the Mr. Olympia, according to what he told me. Yeah. And there was no incentive for him monetarily to get on stage. As a matter of fact, I think he didn't really say this, but if he would have gotten on stage and not done as well as people expected him to, maybe he would have lost that contract.
There's so many holes in that; it's ridiculous.
No, well, because if you're a bodybuilder, you
Dave, he was not making what Lee Haney made. Believe me, Joe did not believe me. Joe was not paying him what he was paying the top guys. I'll say it again. He was not paying him what he was paying the top guys. I'll say it 3 times. He was not paying him what he was paying the top guys. And you know what? Every single person, ask Hadi Chupin. When you win the Olympia, without trying the cash register rings, even if you have no interest.
Right.
So going on stage as a Victor Richards and winning shows, oh my God, the excitement, the hype, the we got to have him at us. Those are the days, we got to have him at our show. We got to have him here. We got to have him there. Just there's no way you can say, well, I didn't compete, and it was so mysterious, and it was so advantageous by not competing that economically it was an advantage. Right. No way.
Yeah, and this is
but go ahead with that. Go ahead with that story.
Well,
that you're
I wanted to make one other statement. I mean, this is also the guy who.
So what's his beef with Jim? What's his beef with Jim?
Oh, but I'm just saying, this is also the guy, Chris, that people thought were dead, had died. Remember, there was a rumor, and he didn't dispel it. It took 2 weeks before he actually just had enough time to send a text message to someone telling him that he's alive. Remember that?
Yeah, but yes, I remember that.
He definitely drums up his own drama. You know that. I mean, and I actually like the guy. A lot of people don't like. I actually like the guy. I think he's got a good personality. I think he has a lot to offer bodybuilding, but he's so against like what's going on that like it's like you can't be a great bodybuilder and be a bodybuilder and be against everything that bodybuilding is all about. There has to be a compromise. Like, dude, okay, I want to help change it.
I want to know, because I didn't read the article and I don't want to put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah.
What does he have against Jim?
Well, he just thinks that it's all corruption and they're taking advantage of the athletes. He thinks that Jim should take money out of his own pocket and finance health insurance and all these things for these athletes, out of his own.
Well, I would like Jim. We just talked about let's talk about the Nationals and the NPC and the NPC and the Nationals, the Nationals and NPC. I think Jim should send me a check for advertising for the NPC and the Nationals.
I think that Jim and I have the same birthday. Maybe he should send me a birthday. Where's my birthday present every year? I want a birthday present equivalent to Tyler's birthday present every year. Right? Hey, we have the same birthday, right? I mean, it's only fair. He does call me every year, but
it's always easy to pick on. I mean, I do to pick on your boss, and I would say like to pick on the people in control. I pick on the city council. I pick on like the mayor, and I pick on Jim Mannion sometimes. But to say like. Well, I didn't read the art. What did he say? Things are rigged, probably rigged against him, right?
Yeah, he said it's all minute. It was just a really negative thing he wrote. But put yourself in a person's shoes and let's not talk about Jim Mannion. Let's talk about like you said, a mayor or someone who runs a huge business, that has like 150 employees. Think about the decisions they have to make on a regular basis. And there are always going to be people that are not happy with that decision because invariably it disfavors some people and it favors other people. So the people who are not in favor, who might feel like they're being, it's working against them, are going to be, I hate that fucking guy, he's terrible, and then the other guys are going to say he's great because, it went in their favor. So you can never, look at the president of the United States. As many people love him as hate him at the same time. It's
half hate him, half love him.
Yeah.
No matter who the president is, half love him, half hate him.
Because if you have to make a decision to invade a country or something like that, some people are going to think, yeah, that's the right thing to do, and some people are going to say, no, it's not the right thing to do, and that's so the onus of responsibility. Look, I see people. I know a lot of my friends who own their own, supplement companies and stuff like that, and they're always villainized, by the people who get fired, and it's funny. You fire someone who actually steals from you, and then they make you out to be the bad guy, oh, what a terrible guy he was.
Oh yeah.
Well, you stole from me,
Well, friends can steal from friends. So
because if I'm making more money than them, they feel that I should
jealous. You owe me.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. I don't think anyone really gave two turns of their head to the Victor Richards piece. But look, I always support everyone's right to say whatever their opinion is and put it out there. And because we live in a free world, I don't think anyone should be censored ever. And, I think that's Victor Richards, option. The question is, will he do anything to help make it better? And I think you're going to put out, a lot of, stuff that you don't like about someone, then you got to come up with a better solution. Yeah. And I don't see him coming up with a better solution. So
well, it's
easy to Wayne and people are like rallying around that Victor Richards piece because it's like trying to support their agenda.
It's the Bill of Rights.
When it came out, just to make me aware of it as though I didn't know already. 15 people sent it to me, but that's just the way it goes. Let's talk about some more positive news that helps cement the IFBB as a agency that we all want to be a part of, and that's the Arnold Classic. Now, Arnold made a brilliant move. We've said this last week. He said, "You know what? I got a crappy lineup here. What the heck can I do to get more people in this lineup? Yes, it's partially the timing of the year because the Olympia was just around the corner. But, you know, I don't want to make I want my show to be the best out there, you know. How can I get a good lineup? You know what? Money talks. He put up $300,000 for the first place, raised that prize money up over $100,000. And people started coming out of the woodwork. You know, we got Andrew Jack, who now you're working with. We talked about that. I think we talked about that last week, correct?
Yeah. Did we talk about Andrew Jack? We may have. Maybe not. But Dexter. No, we didn't. Dexter set the alarm clock for 6 a.m. when he heard 300 grand. He went in a little early.
Moore is entering the show. Obviously, we got Nick Walker, who I believe is, you know, probably the favorite going in now into the show. We already had William Bonac in that show, and Samson Dowda, and of course Sean Clarita, 212 Olympia champ. Now we get the entry of Big Ramy, who is two-time Mr. Olympia, as we know, had a terrible Olympia a couple weeks ago, and I thought he was going to I thought he really needed some time to shut it down and just kind of rejuvenate, but somehow, some way, I don't know if it was his idea, if it was Chad Nichols, his coach's idea, or if it was his handlers. I don't know whose idea it was. I'm going to let you speculate about that because you know Ramy probably just better than anyone. Why is Ramy in this show? In your opinion, obviously it's just your opinion.
Because King told him to do the show.
King Kamali.
Yeah. Why did he do the show? He did the show. There's two reasons. The money.
You really think Ramy cares about the money?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Dude, it's not 40,000. You know what? You would never go for 150, 175, even 200. There's a big difference between 2 and 3. You know, at least you can ration it. 3 is, you know, good payday. But there's two reasons. One, that, and then 2, it's going to eat him alive. You heard it here. It's going to eat him alive to have to wait to next year, because if he didn't do the show, and let's say, who's the favorite? Go ahead, say it. Nick Walker.
Yep.
Nick Walker, by virtue of getting third at the Olympia and having beat Ramy, if he had done the show and won the show, the super hype running into the Olympia would be Nick. So that crowds out. That puts a kibosh on Ramy, no matter what, because the hype going into the Olympia would be, period, Hardy, who doesn't get the credit he deserves. The real hype would be Derek, and the real hype would be Nick Walker, because he would have won. Let's say, proverbially, you know, he would have won the Arnold. So, you know, technically he couldn't, quote, afford, you know, not money wise, but just afford the, you know, the pass and the elevation of Nick Walker to get the win and go into the Olympia. And then second, for himself, you know, it's simply a fact that, you know, I mean, I'm sure he realizes that's not a good Ramy that showed up at the Olympia. And, you know, it grinds on you to have to wait to February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, to like come back and just prove, like, you know what, you guys just saw like a 5th place, was it 5th? That really wasn't me. So those are the 2 100% guaranteed, underline every word, reason why he's doing the show.
So you think he called up Chad and said, I want to do the show?
I don't know if he called up Chad. Chad might have called him up and said, you know, what do you think about doing the show? I bet Ramy would need some prodding.
Okay, but
probably 3 for 3. I know, Dave, people get offended. Probably
your answer was Ramy wanted to do it. Now you're saying that maybe Chad convinced him to do it.
Yeah, probably convinced him. But those is you can need convincing when you've already thought it through yourself, but just haven't gone through with the plan.
Okay.
You know.
Now, having said what you said, is it a good idea? Because Ramy's a big guy. He peaked for the show. You know, he definitely looked like he was ready to go a week out. Whatever went wrong, you know, carbon up and all that other crap. We know he was peaked for the show. Can he now redo it again, you know, 8 weeks later, in your opinion? well. He's got to do it well. He's got a lot on the line. If he loses this show, he's done. I mean, it's going to psychologically destroy him. He has to win this show. There's a lot of pressure on this show, Chris.
Ramy can do well under pressure. A lot of people can't, but he actually can do well under pressure. And he can win the show, but he can't obviously win the show looking like he did at the Olympia. And it's not going to be a cakewalk to win the show because there's variances and physiques that are in the show that are going to, I don't think he can dominate the show. So, he's got to fight for the win. But can he win the show? Yeah, he can win the show. But other people can win it too, so there's no.
I didn't ask you, can he? I'm asking you, do you think he will? We know he has the tools to do it. Will he, given 8 weeks after the Olympia, he's coming off a loss. Maybe his head is not in the right place. I know he's angry and wants to redeem himself. Do you think mentally he will do it?
I think mentally he can do it. Physically, can he do it? He's going to be in a battle with Nick, and they both have, attributes that are, you can argue this guy, that's the winning look. I don't want to forget other people. We can get to who else is in the show, but obviously, if you're going to have Nick as a front runner by having been third at the Olympia, you're going to compare like a big guy with him, which is Ramy.
This look we're seeing from Dennis James posted a week out from the Olympia, is this going to win the Arnold Classic, this look?
I don't know, because I'm an expert on photos, and those photos are not. There's a filter to them.
Oh yeah, I think so.
There is a filter to them. I'm the filter king. Seriously, no, because I know when you get those. Look, go to the front. When you get like these weird eyes, they look like they're like diamond, And there's right.
I know you're talking
Maybe
about.
You can't see it. It don't matter. It doesn't matter what he looks like in Dennis's kitchen.
Yeah. Well, I'm
the
just
kitchen does not. They don't. It's not. I've been posting a lot of Dave. I've been posting a lot of kitchen and bathroom pictures on my Instagram of my remodels. So what I do know is I can't bring the kitchen, even with the bodybuilder in it, onto the stage.
Let's assume the pictures are accurate. Okay, what he looked like a week out. Is that physique? Can that win? Can that beat Nick Walker?
I think he'd struggle looking like that, actually.
All right. Well, that's then Ramy's in trouble from what you're saying.
Basically. Dave, I talked to someone tonight, and the three predictions. What's that? It's not Freudian. It's subconscious. When I went down to Tampa, and you said you see Nick Walker down there. He was fat. I mean, he was off season. Summer when Kamal was getting ready for a open show. And you said, what you think of Nick Walker? And I said, disaster third. And you said, what do you mean by disaster? I said, no lower than. And then I said, and I've said on the show before, I said, Derek Lunsford's going to kill everyone. Everyone laughed at me because they didn't have him top 5. That was way out because they said he'd be too small. And so I'm trying to think, what was I thinking? Ramy was going to win, but then someone had asked me about Bonac, and I said, well, Bonac will crush Hardy. So maybe anyways. There's good guys in the show. There's no shoe-in. Ramy is not a shoe-in. But he can do it, and he's mentally tough.
Right.
And I think I contradict what I said last week. I said last week, your people give me this crap, your body goes where your mind is, goes, your body will follow. I said, not always. But I think what happens is, listen, here's the paragraph of today's show. Orally. Ramy is where Jay was in 2008. Jay lost the title in 2008, and this is not true, but he wanted to kill himself the next day. In other words, or the next week or the next month. In other words, I could have won that show. Ramy's in the same spot. And for Jay, imagine if they said, oh, we're going to have the Olympia game, but we're going to have it in 3 weeks. Would you like to do it? He'd be in. It's the same thing with Ramy. You know,
but Jay didn't do the Arnold. You know, after the Olympia that year.
My point is they're both in the place of like, I am ready to go and get my title back from the next day. Because Ramy, I know, but Ramy posted that.
Would Jay have done the Arnold if there was 300 grand?
300 grand, yeah.
For two, yeah, and
yes.
that year
300, yes. Okay. Yes. Only in this context, Dave. It's 8 weeks away. If it was 16, no. You know, it'd be like, I'm getting my title back at the Olympia.
Right.
It's so close. It's you know, it makes a big difference in terms of like, you know, people like Ramy jumping in to get that redemption, you know, to get that, to show people, to show himself.
Well, if Ramy wins the Arnold, do you think that jeopardizes his ability to peak again at the end of the year, or you think he'll be okay?
He'll probably be okay because we know that he can take the entire year off in training, right?
Yeah.
When he won the second Olympia, he was off the whole year.
Yeah,
you know, he had like marriage 2 and 3, so he was.
But the guys are better now, you know what I mean, than they were then.
Yeah.
So there's better guys to be. You know, let me ask you this question. I saw Chad Nichols had posted on his page. He wrote, "We don't talk, we work. It's time for Big Ramy and me to go back to work. See you in Columbus, and you already know it's going to be cold." So, how do you interpret that?
Well, one, that's talking. Isn't that talking?
That sounds like talking, yeah.
And then 2, there was talk. They talked the whole entire year. The visual talks was like every time I turned around, someone was sending me a picture of Ramy doing quarter turns in a locker room. Right? He posted 1 million.
Right.
And we heard from DJ and Chad that he was going to be better than Ronnie. So they talk. Too much talk. That's why.
Maybe that's
why. No. And if you dispute that,
yeah.
I mean, the point is that's why people are like, when prejudging started, you're like, okay, maybe the lighting is off. You know what I mean? You know, because the lighting, everyone criticized the lighting, Dave. And when Ramy came out,
yeah.
When Ramy came out, it, you know, it looked like, God, he's way off. It's like your gut says like, oh no, he's not off. They just changed the lights a little bit. You know what I mean? So they're darker. You'll see when the lights start to change, you'll see the condition come out. And then you realize, okay, the condition's not technically there.
Yeah. Why is your someone saying, talking about lighting, your camera's horrendous today. I don't know why your connection is so bad.
Well, I use my iPhone usually.
Your voice sounds great, but your camera is terrible today.
Well, I've been taking voice lessons, Dave. Is the camera that bad? I usually look yellow, like.
No, it's like not moving. It's like not in the right. It's not synced well. It's.
Well, that's because I move around. I'm fidgety.
Nah, it's just usually you have a good connection. I don't know. I think something's not right. You don't have something. Something's not configured right there. Let me ask you this question.
Sounds good to me, everyone.
Yeah, you sound good. That's all that I care about anyway. No one's looking at us anyway. 2 ugly mugs. Ramy.
Speak to yourself.
Chad. You know. Going into this show, well, actually, let me talk about Dennis James first. Dennis was on my show prior to the Olympia. We did a little predictions thing. Great show. Dennis is always good. Great guest to have on. Very insightful. He was saying, and I didn't really get that impression when I kind of pushed him that Ramy was going to slam dunk this thing. He was like, well, Ramy is beatable. You know, if he doesn't come in on, he's beatable. When he said that to me, I interpreted that as meaning that Dennis wasn't so certain that Ramy was going to win this show, because Dennis is pretty honest, and obviously he's got Ramy in his corner, so he's not going to say, "Yeah, Ramy's going to lose the show," but he obviously felt there was some vulnerability there to make that statement. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, well, Dennis is honest to the extent of this. He is. You're lucky I said that, Dennis. Because I know what's in debt. You want another prediction? Right. I know. I know what Dennis is thinking about. Dennis has seen. Listen, Hadi last year, when he was third, he deserved third. He did not deserve to beat Brandon. Brandon looked really good, but Hadi at the night show was lights out. Got it? And anyone who's been on stage, DJ himself, I'm saying lights out condition, like lights out condition. But if you ask me, did he deserve to win? No, not 2 years ago. And DJ has to be thinking, okay, if he brings that lights out condition and he's steadily keeps getting a little bit bigger every one of these Olympias that he does, that, you know, he might be able to win.
No,
so,
let's talk about the real issue. I think that DJ knew that Ramy's lats were not looking phenomenal. They've been, getting worse. He knew that the quads had those little scooped out areas in them, which they've had for a couple of years. I don't know why everyone's carrying on now about it. They've been there for a while. And he knew that that's a vulnerability, but I had a feeling, I got the impression that he wasn't so convinced that Ramy's conditioning was where it needed to be, because if he was, I would have thought he would have said it's a lights out show. So he obviously thought that there were vulnerabilities there that weren't there in the past. And I don't necessarily know if he thought that Hadi Chupin was going to be the guy to exploit those. I think he just knew that Ramy, by saying that if Ramy's not on 100%, he is beatable. So that made him, he's basically saying that Ramy was not, because originally they were making him seem like he was going to be Coleman 2003, lights out.
No, that was explicit. That was not implied, Dave. That was, I don't even pay attention. And that got through. In other words, if you pay attention, you can find out, what people think in detail. That got through, and that was stated, in not so many, if not exact ways, that this was going to be the biggest Mr. Olympia ever, Coleman-esque. And I've said from the get-go, I've told you off the air is, that's probably not going to work out as good as some people in his corner think, because when you start comparing yourself to Coleman, you start to walk into a state of delirium, because there's not, Dave, I was, just as an aside, I thought of just today when Ronnie Coleman, I was at the Montreal Pro when everyone was talking about Wheeler. This is 1995 or 6. I think 95. Coleman blew Wheeler off the stage. It was 3 years before he had even won his first Olympia. But Wheeler at that point was like right on Dorian's heels, supposedly, or, the next in line after Dorian, or, the only threat technically on paper to Dorian.
Right.
And Ronnie made him look like an NPC guy. He was so much bigger, denser, harder, freakier than him. 95. Right.
Yep.
So, to start to compare yourself to the overwhelmingness of Ronnie, just, you got to compare yourself to your best, not to like, somebody who, is on a different level.
Let me throw a scenario by you, okay? Say Ramy comes in a little off. He's not 100%. And Nick Walker beats him. And Andrew Jack beats him. And Sean Clarita, the 212 Mr. Olympia, beats him. Where is Ramy's head at that point after that happens?
It's in the same place as if, it's in the same place as if the only other person's head who can, unfortunately bend that quickly would be Nick, because our expectations are for Nick, and now our expectations for Ramy are nothing but the best, and they're going to be judged on that, nothing but your all-time best.
I think that this is a great move for Nick Walker, because Nick now has the pressure off of him, because Ramy should win this show, right? Ramy is the highest, even though Ramy had an off Olympia, he was the highest ranking. He's Mr. Olympia 2 times. Nick didn't beat him last year. He beat him this year because Ramy was off. Okay. So Ramy's got the most pressure here. If Ramy loses, he's got to deal with a lot of crap, and the judges are going to dismiss them. Ramy's going to be put on the back burner, mentally. if he doesn't do this, if he doesn't win this show. Nick Walker, before Ramy entered, was really the favorite, if you think about it, going into the show, which would have put pressure on him, which he has no problem handling. Now he's kind of like, well, people are happy that Nick's there, and I think he's got to be considered an equal favorite to Ramy. But I think it's less pressure on him now. Now he can kind of float in the shadows of Ramy and deliver the goods. And then, if he knocks Ramy out, he'll never lose to Ramy again, I don't think. If Nick Walker, my prediction, if Nick Walker beats Ramy at this show, he will never lose to him again.
Well, I mean, if Nick wins, he's going to be hyped up for the Olympia, but he's going to be on fire for the Olympia, meaning he's going to be motivated beyond motivated, so, and you're going to see if he does win the Olympia, does win the Arnold, you're going to see that motivation translate into serious gains.
And you know what the truth is? If he wins the Arnold and he places third at the Olympia again, who cares? Because he will have made more money probably than everyone else.
He cares. He still wants.
Well, I know he wants to win the Olympia, but what I'm saying is he's going to be the highest, prize winner of anyone out there, because a third place at the Olympia with a win at the Arnold is going to be what, $450,000, something like that.
He'll be $445,000 ahead of who's the sprinter from Jamaica who had his money stolen recently? Usain Bolt. He'll have a net worth $5,000 more than Usain Bolt.
What happened to Bolt?
They stole his money.
Like his handlers, you mean?
Yeah, no, not his handlers. He had $12 million in an account with a Jamaican private equity, I think, group, which is like the worst. Oh my goodness! Just anyhow, I guess who knows? He found out somehow you only have 7,500 left.
Oh my, what?
Edgar Calderon says Bolt lost 12.5 million.
Hold on, I'm pulling up the article here. Bolt lost 12 million in savings in alleged fraud, attorney says. Holy man, this is like a Tyson story almost,
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mike Tyson, Mike would be okay. Mike would be okay with it. He don't need anything. That's how he.
Imagine going to the bank, you got 12 million missing from your account.
Yeah,
his retirement savings account, which he holds with Kingston-based investment firm Stocks and Securities, reflects a balance of only $12,000. There was previously 12.8 million in the account. Holy shit.
Dave, I went with my son to the bank drive-through the other day, and I made a deposit for, we were kidding about it, $666.66.
Ooh.
Yeah. I told my son, I said, all I do all day is like bookkeeping to make sure people don't steal, this, that. Right. So I go through the drive-through and they put the deposit in for 66 cents.
You serious?
Of course, I look, Dave, I look all the time like a neurotic, and I look at the envelope to make sure it matches. And I was in a rush, and I drive around the bank and I look at it. So I handed it to him. I said, "What's that say?" He said, 66 cents. So I go through and I said, "Could you confirm this is this is the rant on the stupidity of where we're at with the world?" I said,
"That's why you better deposit into the cash machine." Yeah.
What's the deposit? She said 66 cents. I said, "Who comes through?" I said, "Do you remember how many? Wait, you know how many checks? How many checks I put in?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Was it more than 2, 3, 4?" She said, "I don't know, like 10." And I said, "Could have been." And the 10 added up to 66 cents.
Did she apologize at least?
I said, "Send the money as a gift certificate to what's his face?"
You were putting in the
original Nigeria. Yeah. Listen, what's his face is the. Who are we talking about? Victor Richards. No, the Victor Richards fund.
Yeah.
But Victor Richards, I think, is Nigerian.
He is.
Funny, Andrew Jack competes.
Yeah.
Samson Dauda competes. I think he's Nigerian.
Yep.
Blessing competes.
What's his name? No, Blessing, and there's another one from Nigeria. What's his name? He's great. He was classic and he moved up.
From classic to what? Open? Or
212? Yeah, he's an open guy. He's tall.
He black?
From Nigeria. He's Nigerian, yes. He's black. He's the Eastwood, something Eastwood, Beastwood.
Quentin, one above all says. Quentin, see, I do read the look at it's the best team going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They got the most talent. We thought the Middle East was clean in house. Now we got the
Nigerians. Nigerians are dominating with their,
it's funny because things go in waves. Do you notice that? Like one year you'll have everyone from Egypt winning. The next decade it's Nigeria. There's no rhyme nor reason really. It just seems it's kind of interesting that we have a lot of Nigerian bodybuilders that are doing really well right now.
It's very interesting that we have.
Remember, for a while we had when Rodin's from what, Jamaica? Who else was from Jamaica?
Max
Charles,
Usain Bolt.
Yeah. No, is Max? One of them's from Haiti. Who's from Haiti?
Max, which is nowhere near Dave.
I know because they get upset when I mix it up. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want. But
it'd be like someone saying,
island guys.
Yeah.
But where are all the Jewish bodybuilders? How come there's no great Jewish bodybuilders?
I don't know. Why? There's no one in the.
It's a Jewish. Let me tell you something. I'm half Jewish. No Jewish mother is letting their kid go into bodybuilding. That's why. That's why.
Dave, I was just gonna say. Maybe the mothers don't want him to compete.
Yeah, they don't want him to compete. Aaron Singerman, a great Jewish bodybuilder. Someone asked him a question. I'm blocked from his Instagram, but someone supposedly asked him a question about why he blocked me. And he went into this whole diatribe of bullshit about why he dropped me, which was a load of crap. But I'm not going to even go into it. I'll go into it with Romano tomorrow when I talk to him. But
we want to keep the show positive.
I guess I was at 50%, and I never made it.
No, if your mother's Jewish, you're 100% as far as Bob Kreskin's concerned.
Yes. Well, religiously speaking, the Jewish religion will embrace you.
Well, you could be Jewish like George Santos, who's the representative from New York. He lied and he said that his parents, I think fled Ukraine and Hitler. And actually, they're not Jewish, and they never lived there.
I wonder. He's openly gay. I wonder if he really. Maybe he's not even gay. I wonder if he used the whole gay thing as like a. Although, did you see the latest
thing?
Be. Supposedly, he denied dressing in drag, and then
he's admitted it now. He admitted it now.
He admitted it. Yeah.
No, he did. Yeah, he did admit it. He said after
after they put the picture up of him, he admitted it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother,
can't make it up.
No, we don't make this stuff up. I want to just say one story that's very bothering me. I'm friends with Amine a lot. I think you obviously know him very well also, and he got arrested last week for supposedly giving Andy Hammond a toxic dose of ibogaine that killed him, and they're trying to hold him responsible, and saying he caused the death, and saying he's facing 20 years to life. It's first of all, Amine does these ibogaine treatments, because he really wants to help people. Does he charge for them? Yeah, but he's seen a lot of people with drug addiction overcome them, and he was trying to help people out. And when Andy Hammond passed, God rest his soul. I love that guy, really. I loved him like a brother. Man, I was the first person to help him in bodybuilding, and help him turn pro. I love his whole family. His son, Sam, is a chiropractor now. I remember when he was a little kid. What a wonderful family he's got, too. And, Andy did do some ibogaine with Amine, but, the cause of death, when Andy passed was a pulmonary embolism. Andy had tricep surgery, reattachment surgery 3 days prior, and he had a pulmonary embolism. Why the feds decided to pick this whole case up and blame Amine for this death is beyond me. And I really think that he's being falsely accused. I believe he will be exonerated when it's all said and done. I don't believe there's any evidence to show that he caused that. I think that here's what's going on, Chris. You know, the federal government doesn't like ibogaine and hallucinogens and stuff like that. And the state of Colorado has passed a law, essentially, well, at least a referendum in November of 2022, to legalize the use of ibogaine and all these hallucinogens for therapy purposes, you know. And the federal government does not like this one bit. And because of that, I believe that they're using Amine as a scapegoat, you know, as the guy they're going to put all the blame on to say, you see what happens?
Yeah.
You see what happens? You know, and it's a real shame because the guy is not a bad guy. He has no ill intentions. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He only wants to help people. And I hope that the industry doesn't, you know, turn their back on him, because this could happen to anyone, really. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, anyone who advises anyone to do anything that's, quote, you know, little gray market. I mean, technically, if the government wants to come after you and make a big deal about it, they can. You know, the great thing is that the government really doesn't give a shit about steroids, and steroids don't really, you know, acutely cause any damage, but acutely short term. But obviously, this is a big deal for the government, and Amine was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you know, this supposedly happened, you know, almost 2 years ago now. And so I want to just, I just want to put it out there that, you know, I completely support Amine. First of all, he's not ratting anyone out. Matter of fact, they even released him on no bond, Chris, just a signature. So, I mean, if he was such a threat and a murderer as they're painting him, you know, the Colorado government actually put on their Twitter, nabbed, like they were on a manhunt to catch this guy for 3 months. That wasn't the case at all. You know, they weren't like looking for him. You know, when they contacted him, they took him into custody. The whole thing is ridiculous, really. And I hope he gets off. I really do, because this is not the guy who beat his girlfriend to death story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to put it in the same category as that is I find offensive, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I wanted to put it out there because I wanted people to know my opinion. I want people to know that I back Amine. I support him. I think he was unjustly arrested and is being charged unjustly. And I hope with the right legal team, he can beat this charge. So we'll put that out there. All right, back to bodybuilding. Seems like we never have a dull moment, Chris.
Well, we had a dull 18 months with COVID. And then
I will say this: I don't want to jinx us, but knock on wood, we haven't had any deaths in the industry in a couple of weeks, which is,
well, maybe that's, you know.
Did you see this movie? COVID. Yeah. Did you see that Mike O'Hearn was in this movie, Magazine Wars?
No.
It was in Sundance Film Festival.
What was it about? I know Mike was always on the covers of the romance novels.
Yeah, no, but this is
he used to be.
Let me just pull this up here. Hold on. It got a lot of critical acclaim at Sundance. And he wasn't the main, guy. This guy, Jonathan Majors, was the main guy, but this guy has a really good physique who was the main character. It's supposed to be a very disturbing movie, to be honest with you. It's not like you walk out and it's Rocky. You know what I mean?
What's it about? You got anything in there so I can?
Yeah, it's right here. It's about a bodybuilder.
And what happens? How many? I'm surprised. Generation Iron produced it, probably.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Up-and-coming star Jonathan Majors plays amateur bodybuilder Killian Maddox, who sacrifices his mental and physical health for the dream of superstardom. Majors received a standing ovation for the intense performance, followed by a Q&A with the actor. The audience wasn't only captivated by Majors, the star has received praise from many critics and media outlets. Many reviews stated that the film has shades of Taxi Driver and Joker, and social and political themes such as toxic masculinity and misogyny were masterfully executed in the movie.
Well, we have people who don't even need to act to execute that.
But that's a great feather in his cap for Mike O'Hearn to be a part of that project. We're gonna get.
Yeah. Well, what was he? What in particular? What exactly did he do?
I'm not sure, but Mike had reached out to me. He said, after the Sundance, I want to come on the TV show and talk about, the movie and my participation in it. And he obviously when you're in a movie that has a lot of critical acclaim, you're gonna wind up, getting a lot of good attention from that. And I'm so happy for Mike because Mike and I have been friends for years.
Yeah.
And, he's a really, really good guy. I know a lot of people break his balls about the whole natty or not thing, but fuck everyone else. This guy has been, a stalwart in our industry and has always, painted the industry with a really pretty picture. He's always been an upstanding guy. The guy, when I was sick, when I had my thyroid cancer, he always reached out to me, see how I was doing. He's a good guy. He's got a great heart, and you know what? He loves bodybuilding. And the fact that he's doing it at the level he's still doing it at 50. Is he 50? I think he's 50 now, right?
He's 2 years younger than Kamal. He's a baby. He's a baby.
Yeah, maybe he's 49, but I'm saying this guy looks. If I would sell my soul to the devil to look like this guy. What a great looking guy and a great heart too to go along with that. He's the real deal, and so I'm so happy that he was in this project. He's in another movie too. I don't know what. So I'm going to get him on the TV show probably either this week or the following week, and we'll talk about that. But congratulations to Mike, and it's great to see a bodybuilding movie. This is probably the first movie since Pumping Iron that's been in in the limelight in a sense. But
Pumping Iron 2.
Aside from those
Pumping Iron 3. Pumping Iron 2 was the woman. What was Pumping Iron
3? Was when Arnold made the comeback, I think, in Australia, right?
Yeah. But Wayne's doing Pumping Iron 5.
The Victor Richards comeback story. Why doesn't Victor Richards come back in Wayne's organization? He's only, what is he? How old is he now? 50? He's probably 50 also. Why doesn't he go on a cycle and blow up again and finally make his pro debut in Wayne's organization?
He may have something against Wayne. Who knows?
Well, he's if he's blasting Jim Mannion, I'm assuming that and Wayne sending press releases from the article. I'm assuming that Wayne.
Is that what Wayne's doing? Circular? I didn't get the press release.
Yeah, Wayne sent me the link to that. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get the text message.
Yeah, me too. I'm surprised that wasn't on that in 60 Minutes at the same time.
It's really ridiculous when you think about it, but but I'm always wondering. I watched the Circus. I went to like I said, I went to the Circus today, and I see these. The reason why people love the Circus is because it's a freak show, right? It's not the freak show it was, 50 years ago, but it's a different freak show. They had a lot of muscle guys doing all kinds of acrobatic stuff, and people are fascinated by watching. I don't know why more people are not fascinated by bodybuilding competitions. It's because you know what, the media and the lawmakers
because people are jealous. No, because it's always been threatening to people.
Yeah, it's
been people like to sit in their chairs, 300 pounds and say, 70% body fat and say, oh, these guys are all on steroids. Yeah. Just as somebody can sit in their chair and say, like, I could make $1 billion a month like Carl Icahn if I, and then fill in the sentence, right?
Yeah.
But no, you know how you always hear it, Dave? You hear it like this. Oh, did you know who Dave Palumbo's got a net worth of, oh my gosh, his father was a multi-millionaire, right? In other words, yeah, exactly.
I wish my father was.
The problem with you, Dave, if your father was a multi-millionaire, this set for this little show would be so extravagant and so over the top. You'd be flying in people. I
wouldn't be doing the show. Believe me, if my father was a multi-millionaire, I'd be playing with snakes right now. I wouldn't be at 11 o'clock at night doing a radio show. But you're right. There is a jealousy, but and then of course the aspersions people throw. Oh, bodybuilding, it's so unhealthy, but people are jumping around in the circus. It's okay because that's entertainment, right? And I'm watching some old Muhammad Ali fights. I always send you the clips. For some reason, they pop up on my Facebook. And the brutality of those fights that Ali had with Frazier, if that's shouldn't be outlawed, how could they think that bodybuilding is dangerous when people are trying to kill each other in a ring? I mean, pugilism fighting is like the old gladiators, back in the Roman times. We're like, how barbaric was that when the Romans they fought to the death? Big deal. So we got two guys in the ring punching the crap out of each other, trying to kill each other. It's the same thing.
When Dana White had that crappy hotel in Vegas, I forget the name of it, and he started his organization,
right?
If you remember, you can Google it and go back. John McCain said, "Over my dead body will this sport ever get like a sanction anywhere," because it was so brutal at the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
It was so, people take it now as like, oh, it's normal. But people are like, wow, this is crazy brutal.
It's still brutal. It's just that the guys.
I know. Well, that's my point. So to compare, the Ali Frazier fight or Ali, Foreman fight compared to any undercard at one of these fights is nothing. And the irony is, Dana White is best buddies with who? Donald Trump, because when he needed a place to start doing some of the promotions at a discount, right, Donald Trump said, "Come to my shitbag hole in Atlantic City that's about ready to go under and be foreclosed upon," which it was.
Taj Mahal, yeah.
Oh God! Did you ever go to any of the hotels with?
I went to the Taj Mahal. It was nice when it first opened. It's
I'm sure. Yeah. By the time
he spent so much money, he was losing money on it. He was so.
By the time he was getting ready to lose the hotels, I stayed in one, Dave, and it was stunning, like stunning, and it's like toilet handle just fell off. Like, oh my gosh, the carpet had been cleaned in. Like, I don't know if it was a receivership at that point but it'd be like saying like. What happened to Species? I don't know. I tasted. I threw up on.
They had one of those. Didn't they have one of those Atlantic City Pro shows at the Taj one year?
I think, before it went completely over the edge.
When Ron Goldstein had it, I think it was the first year they put it at the Taj Mahal, and it was so expensive. I think they moved it to a different hotel after that. I actually like that show. I don't know why people don't like Atlantic City. I like Atlantic City. I know what it. It's not Vegas. It is
this guy Giovanni Giorgio, another Italian guy. A lot of Italians in bodybuilding says Trump still living in Aceto's head. No, that hotel was a embarrassing shithole for anyone. Like if it wasn't TripAdvisor back then, but if there was TripAdvisor, there'd be like 500 1-star.
Right. But the point we're making here is that every sport, every entertainment venue out there has dangerous stuff that goes on. The circus, boxing,
that's how we get off of that.
Football. That's the goal and the aim of these sports is to beat the shit out of the next person. Let's face it. When you tackle someone in football, you want to knock them so they don't get up off the ground. When you're fighting, you want to hit someone so hard they don't get up off the ground and that you kill them. Okay, that's the goal. When you're at the circus, okay, if you fall, you're dead. Okay, that's a little riskier than taking a Diazide, the night before a bodybuilding show where you're gonna go pose on a stage. All right, is there a chance that you can get hurt and die? Yeah. Is there a chance that steroids might kill you in 10, 15, 20, 30 years after you use them? Of course, but everything comes with a risk. If the athlete's willing to take that risk, okay, then obviously it should be okay. Otherwise, outlaw everything. No boxing, no fighting, no MMA, no slap fighting because you can get concussions, no circus, no anything that's risky, okay? Nothing, there's no contact sports anymore. That's it. We're stopping all that because those sports are dangerous. You can die from those sports and you can get permanent damage moving forward. That's the reality of our lives, okay? The stuff that people like to watch are dangerous. Because why? Because they don't want to do it themselves. I want to watch the guy up there on the ceiling of the circus because I'm not getting up there because I'm not going to fall and kill myself. He wants to do it. That's fine. That's the way it works. So why villainize bodybuilding just because we use hormones to enhance our physiques? I mean, it's ludicrous.
So tell me, so what is the reason that it's vilified?
Because it's easy to vilify it, because it's a small subset of society that no one gives a shit about. And if hey, it looks like we're doing something, Meanwhile, the guys are beating the piss out of each other in the ring, but that's big money. Advertising, sponsors, TV, not gonna get rid of that. That's cash.
Mm-hmm.
Bodybuilding, the only person making money in bodybuilding is, according to Vic Richards, Jim Mannion, right? So
Yeah.
So the Washington Post will go after him because he's a big wig, and they'll leave the rest of us alone, right? It's follow the money. Come on, Chris. That's always the answer to everything. You know how that goes. They're breaking Amine Eli's balls about fucking ibogaine. I mean, give me a break. I mean, come on. No one's dying from ibogaine. It's we live in such a stupid world. I don't even know how to. I'm almost embarrassed for the times we're living in, Chris, because they want to demasculinize everyone. They want everyone to be exactly the same. No one should have any identity. You can't be a man. You can't be this. You can't be that. Everyone's it now, because they want us. They don't want anyone to have their own ideas. They want us to be in this matrix of cell phones like this, so we don't know what the fuck's going on. So they can change the laws and do whatever they want. And that's the reality. I hate to end the show on such a negative note, but on a positive note, you can make a change. You know why? Because you could always say no.
Thank you, Dave Tate.
No, I'm not getting a vaccine. No, I'm not listening. No, I'm not doing this. No, I'm not giving up my rights. But you know what it is? We acquiesce. We give up everything because people are afraid. They're afraid of authority. And that's the truth of the matter. Everyone's afraid of authority. And so they just say, okay, take away all my rights. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They come in for your
snakes. Take away
they come in for your snakes.
Florida's already taken away snakes they've banned
I'm
things.
sure.
If it's up to PETA, they'll take your dog and cats away from you, Chris.
Dave, they are coming. They are coming for the gas stoves. You saw that, right?
No.
They want to ban gas stoves in homes.
Why?
Because they're negative impact on the environment, and a horrible loose study shows that they're correlated with asthma in children. You know what? I love gas stoves. They cost a fortune to put in. I hate electric stoves, right?
Right, yeah.
This is how much people love gas stoves. If you go into a medium or above rental, so not low-end rental, medium, long-term rental, high-end, and a gas stove is a must. People just want to have a gas stove. Right. They love it. And if you can get a gas stove, even if it's the same 30-inch, instead of 4 burners, 5, right. You know what I mean? Or like a double oven.
Right.
The details. People
Chris,
love
you want to know why? Because gas, you have control over in your house.
That's right.
The electric grid, they can turn your power off if you don't fucking go get a vaccine, or if you don't, do what they tell you to do.
Well, they can shut your gas off too. They can shut your gas off.
Yeah.
They can shut your gas off.
Not if you have your own gas tank in the ground. You know what I mean?
Oh, I guess you could have like propane. Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah.
Yeah, I have my own propane tank that runs my generator in my house. So if they decide to shut my electricity off, my generator kicks on, and I have gas. So it's all a control thing. That's all it is, Chris. It's us acquiescing, giving away all our rights to everything. That's what it amounts to. But at the end of the day, Big Ramy's in the Arnold Classic. So who gives a shit, right, about everything else? We got a great show coming up in 5 weeks or whatever it is. Ramy, Nick Walker, Andrew Jack. By the way, how's your first week with Andrew work out?
First 9 days. I think he's about. I think he looks good. I think he looks good. I think. I think he looks good. Just
I see Psycho Lewis is already beating him up in the gym.
Yeah. If he survives, they'd want to ban Chris Lewis's training programs. Gas stoves and Lewis's training programs out the window. But they've been I think they've been doing they've been training Chris Lewis style. So he had sent me a picture day one, I think, that Andrew was on the couch. And I said, is he sleeping? He said, no, that's just after the workout. I mean, he looked, you know, when you just had a crazy workout, you just like crash down and you can't even move.
Right.
So,
right. That's good.
You know, he's putting in the work. He's putting in the work. And the good thing is that Chris told me that, you know, that he's blasting him. And Chris's expectation of Andrew is that Andrew would do what he is told to do in terms of, you know what I mean? Like put in the hard work and the training, because some people, speaking of talk, a lot of people can talk about things, and Andrew's, you know, responding by, you know, doing what Chris wants of him in terms of like, you know, the workouts.
And, you know, look, Chris is going to, you know, push him hard for the Arnold. You're going to get him in great shape for the Arnold. But the true miracle of Andrew jacked is going to happen for the Olympia at the end of the year, because then Psycho's going to have a full 8 months, 9 months to work with him. You're going to have a longer too, and we're going to see. I think that's when we're going to really see the most changes in Andrew's body, because he's going to grow. You know, because he's got. Well,
sometimes, he has great genetics, and sometimes you get, you know, nothing better than, you know, you have to admire, but a lot of people do it. You know, I mean. Brandon Curry does it. You know, you have to admire people who say, okay, I'm serious enough to jump on a plane. I mean, I don't think he really knows Chris Lewis, you know?
Nope.
Jump on a plane, Dubai to Los Angeles, you know, move right in with Chris and say, I'm here to, you know, improve my body. You know, a lot of people just, you know, they think about it, talk, even at that level, you know, they talk about it, they talk to other people about it, they mull it over, and, you know, at the end of the day, maybe not make that big jump, and sometimes it pays off.
This is the first time we've seen anyone leave Dubai and come to the United States. In the last couple of years, everyone's been leaving the United States and going to Dubai. So there's a, you know, I always say everything goes in waves, and everything has like styles, and styles go in and out. Now people are coming back here. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, what Chris Lewis and you can do with Andrew. He's a true genetic freak. He's a very funny guy. He's got a great personality. So I'd love nothing more to see him than see him win that show and give his acceptance speech. The question will be, if he wins, will his victory speech touch the speech of Cedric McMillan, which was the greatest victory speech of all time?
Untouchable. And he humped Arnold at the end. If you remember. And he was criticized for that, but only Arnold would laugh at it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just
Arnold loved it.
Yeah.
The only guy who's ever made Arnold hit a double twisting back shot, right?
Oh yeah. I told you, I can't tell the joke that Arnold told. Too personal. Arnold told him something backstage, and Cedric lit into Arnold. It was funny, but it was aggressive. But only Cedric could do that. When Cedric did it, he was waving his finger right at and looking down at Arnold because he was taller than him. I'm going to tell you, Dave, when you know what it has to do.
Yeah,
it's too edgy for the audience. The truth hurts, but the real truth sometimes can't be told.
Yeah, there you go. And on that note, we'll end the show, as we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio. With Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth almost hurts.
Almost. You know, Chris, we've been doing this for like years, and we still can't get time to think properly. You know.
I know.
All right, thanks for joining us live, guys. We'll see you again next week.